Hello, this is the Tradesight U.S. Stocks and Futures Market Preview for Tuesday, November 29th, 2016. Wednesday will be the last day of the month of November. Had a very disappointing session in terms of action. Came back from the Thanksgiving holiday. Obviously, sometimes there's still some people traveling and things can be a little light, but this seemed way worse than what I was expecting. So let's go through it. Here's a look at the ES front month futures contract. It's the daily chart of the broad market and futures form. And, Friday we had that half day where we were up at the close, and then today we basically gave it exactly back. So the two were a wash. Let's go through the major indices, and then we'll look at the intraday action. Crude oil up 82 cents to 46.87. Gold up $12.40. S&P cash index loses 11 points. NDX loses back 13. Still have not made a new high here. SOX lost back 3. Biotech's lost back 50. Back to approaching the low of the gap up day after the election. VIX down 81 cents to 13.15. I'm sorry, up 81 cents to 13.15. My bad. The trend closed at 1.06. That's got the 10-day moving average right around the same number. Got the Nasdaq volume. Now here's the disappointing part. So, obviously you have the little blip at the bottom there. That was under 700 million shares or so. That was Friday's half day that nobody trades. But look at today's volume on Monday, 1.45. It was actually, they actually printed a flurry of volume at the close. Otherwise, it was going to be worse. And that is worse than Wednesday of last week, which was the day before Thanksgiving. Usually people take off and leave. This was actually worse than that. And this is not like what happens most years. Last year was definitely not in that category. We traded about 2 billion shares last year on the Nasdaq on the day after coming back from Thanksgiving weekend. So this was a real disappointment and certainly led to a lack of action activity. And we're not going to force trades too much. Here's the Nasdaq. Well, we don't force them at all. You only take what's there, and there's not going to be much there when you've got late volume. Here's a look at advanced decline ratio on the Nasdaq. Very negative. Negative 1166. Some rumors of some disappointing holiday sales on Black Friday. And the advanced decline on the New York was negative 975. By the way, it's the most negative it's been since the election. Google gains $5.56. Apple loses 22 cents. Amazon loses $13.60. Netflix down 48 cents. Tesla down 53 cents. Not a lot of movement here, obviously. Now here was the interesting part. Here's your bonds, TLT. Remember, we had a 13 buy signal last week on the TLT, and yet we're still drifting lower, but we have not yet gotten down to that pink risk line. So you can trade anywhere from where you get the signal all the way down to the risk line. Here's the first real day up in bonds since the election. So that's usually, like I said, all that money coming out of bonds, and there was a lot. Look at the volume since the tankage there. Some of it lands in the stock market, right? I mean, it has to by definition. And now that we're seeing to be getting maybe a pause there, an exhaustion bottom in bonds, now it'll be real interesting to see what happens in the stock market. All right, let's take a look at the futures intraday here. Go to 5-minute candles. Now, you got to look carefully here. So you can see the beginning of this chart on the far left is last Wednesday in the close. Then there's the day with no volume is Thursday. They just have some electronic trading that goes off even though the markets aren't really open for the holiday. Then Friday, we open flat. We're just dead flat all day. Nobody's here. It's only a half day. And then right at the close in the last 10 minutes, they pop the market up, right? And then here we come back Monday. We gap down basically to where we started that day, right? And so keep in mind, from Wednesday's close, not counting whatever you see there Thursday, because that's not real. We essentially had a gap up Friday and then that push higher. What we did today was just erase that. We literally closed. Look at this. The ES closed on last Friday at 2201. I'm sorry, on Wednesday at 2201. And it closed here at 2200.75. So and remember, Wednesday is the day everybody leaves early to get going for Thanksgiving. And so essentially what happened on Friday is erased, and that's it. But obviously there's no more volume today than there was on Friday, so that can be significant. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq side. Not much different. So it did go green, by the way, at a point today, but didn't hold it. So, what does this mean? Well, obviously we want to see the volume come back and get back to work here and get a lot more stuff going on during the day. So far that has not really happened, obviously. By the way, if you look at the Nasdaq Futures, which had a 13 sell signal on the daily chart, we never broke above the risk line. Isn't that fascinating? See the risk line of that pink line? We never got above that. We'd have to make new highs on the market to hit it, but that is still containing us here. But we've never gotten really the full signal back the other way either, meaning a new 9-bar startup phase to the downside. So we do have some data tomorrow. The second look at GDP for the third quarter, not a big deal. The Case-Shiller 20-City Index at 9 a.m. and a consumer confidence number, which can be interesting, at 10 a.m. Consumer confidence tends to react fairly quickly, so we'll see what that one looks like. And then the rest of the week, there's a lot of data, like I talked about in the pre-market or the pre-weekend, over the weekend preview. But I think right now, again, we need to see the volume come back and get back to something a little more normal. And again, I'll put the volume chart up here. I mean, we were trading, in the obviously a couple days over 2 billion shares, but you don't even need that. You just need that 1.8 or so volume again that we're used to trading, and things would be good. But 1.4 is not going to cut it. And especially, I think after an hour day, we only have 323 million or something like this in on the Nasdaq. It's just absolutely abysmal, and that's what leads to the lack of action, the lack of construction, the lack of triggers, etc. So hopefully this is, you kind of feel like everybody's looking around like, what now? And, when the volume comes back, it'll be interesting to see what direction we take. Charts, as usual, brought to you by Signal 12. If you've not yet taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks. Have a great trading Tuesday.